Hello everyone, my name is Schaefer. I'm not sure if I introduced myself to you before this video that you're seeing. So, welcome to my interview. I apologize for the crappy lighting in my room. It's just the way it is. So, today is my interview with Kevin Schaefer. Kevin is part of the SMA News Today blog, SMA News Today podcast. I interviewed Kevin because I wanted to know a little bit more about what he does and why he decided to start a podcast, be a part of SMA News Today in general, how that got started, and everything that comes with it. I hope that makes sense. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching, and right now, you'll see a little clip of us our podcast episode together.
What was it like for you growing up with SMA, with a disability? And this, just feel free to share as much or as little as you want.
So, obviously I don't remember too much, but from what my parents told me, I was diagnosed, I think, at around age 2, I would say. Like every SMA person that I've ever spoken to, they weren't reaching normal milestones, and everyone was like, what's going on, what's happening? So I went to a doctor. I took a special test, I don't know what it's called, and they just said, oh, by the way, you have SMA, and so I started learning about, my parents started learning about it and just getting more into it. Again, my entire interview with Kevin via Skype. I just want to say that if you want to learn more about SMA, please visit terasma.org, and they have a bunch of information there. I know a lot of you probably don't care about it, but honestly, like Kevin and I talked about in this interview, it's something I'm passionate about, not just because we have the disease, but because disability is so stigmatized in society. And for me personally, I think it's important just to know about disability and be more educated about it so we can be treated more like people. I mean, not more like people to the fact of, like people being thrown aside, more like people blending in, but not in a bad way. I don't know if that makes sense, but just blending in with people and just not, we can stand out, we'll stand out, and that's okay. But blending in, people being recognized, that's what I'm trying to say. Being recognized, being known, being heard, like anyone else wants. To know that our opinion is valued, and everything that comes with it. Wow, I hope that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, let's get on to the interview with Kevin. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited for you to see it. Okay. Bye. Alright, so introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Kevin Schaefer. I work for a media company called BioNews Services that focuses on diseases and disabilities. And I have what's called spinal muscular atrophy type 2, which is short for SMA. That's how Kelly and I know each other through conferences and all that. And SMA is a neuromuscular condition that affects the motor neurons. And so I've used a wheelchair pretty much my whole life. I was diagnosed when I was 18 months. And so that plays into a lot what I do. And I went to I'm from North Carolina. I went to North Carolina State University and studied English there. And yeah, so that plays into a lot of what I do now.
Okay. How did you get into journalism / communications?
Sure. So yeah, I majored in English with the film studies concentration in college, and we didn't have a strict journalism program, or at least a journalism major, but it was my second semester of my freshman year, and I got an email saying that my student newspaper, The Technician, was looking for writers, and I hadn't really considered journalism at that point. I knew I wanted to write, but do more like creative writing, and I wanted to do like screenwriting and that kind of thing, and but I figured I'd give it a shot and maybe write some movie reviews. And both my parents, journalists as well, so I had that in me too. But yeah, that was my main exposure was working for the school paper and getting involved that way. That's how I learned a lot about just writing articles and interviewing and all that kind of thing. And it played into a lot of what I'm doing now.
So I don't know if you mentioned this already, but we met through the SMA, I always say it wrong, the SMA News Today podcast. Could you tell everybody a little bit about that and how you got into it?
Sure. Yeah, well, because we had met through the SMA conference, and then, yeah, I had you on the SMA News Today podcast as well. But, so like I said, I work for a company called BioNews Services, and it's a network of rare disease websites that started out as like a media news organization and then kind of evolved into a more patient and caregiver-driven organization. And so the way I started the podcast and all that, the way I got involved with BioNews in the first place is, I graduated college in December 2016. And at that time, I was looking for any kind of freelance writing opportunities. And the school paper, I was kind of the arts and entertainment guru. But I also wrote articles about my disability and kind of like specifically like media representation of people with disabilities, and the subject I'm really passionate about. And so I wrote those articles occasionally, and I really liked them. And so one day I just started looking up SMA bloggers to see if I could get any kind of freelance writing opportunity related to SMA, with my disability. And that's when I came across the site SMA News Today, which was pretty young at that point. And there was only one patient columnist at the time. Her name's Brianna Albers, who's still a good friend and coworker. And I read her columns, really liked them, and I just reached out to her on Twitter and asked her how she got involved with SMA News Today. And so she put me in touch with the editors, and I showed them some of my work, and that's how I got that initial column, the weekly column called Embracing My Inner Alien. And then I was doing that for a few months, and I still write that column, but the way I got more involved with BioNews was around like August that year. I came up with the idea for the SMA News Today podcast. And basically it's just a podcast where I interview different people like you in the SMA community. So both people living with SMA, parents and caregivers, trying to get like physical therapists on, kind of like anyone that's like related to the SMA community, you know. And my bosses really loved the idea, and I think it was a good way to kind of broaden our reach and into different patient communities. And so that led me to a full-time job there. And I still work for the company, and I really love it. And I get to work, and I work with not only people with SMA, but in other rare disease communities as well. And I help build online forums and other multimedia initiatives. So yeah, the podcast is something I really enjoy doing because I think it's a way that combines like my journalism skills and multimedia, but also it's a way for me to kind of help combat some of those stereotypes about disability today, and to just show that like different stories from people in the SMA community. So it's something I really enjoy doing.
So, why do you think knowing about SMA is important?
Sure. So, kind of like what I was saying about there's so many misconceptions even today about people with disabilities. I know, sure, Kelly, you've experienced that. I think anyone in the world.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, we call it ableism, which is just kind of a word really encapsulates stigmas and stereotypes. And I think we're getting better, and there are a lot of disability advocates out there who are, whether they're on Instagram or blogging or whatever. There are a lot more voices being amplified today, and that's what I love about working for BioNews. But yeah, I mean, because I'm passionate about medical research as well, and we're living in a time where there are more treatments out there, and it's really good and exciting to see. But I think what I'm passionate about is showing that people like me have great people, and we're just people like everyone else. That disability is not a tragedy or something to be pitied. It's just that's something we live with, and yeah, we do have challenges that other people don't, but that doesn't mean we live these tragic, miserable lives that you see portrayed in movies like Me Before You and that kind of thing. So So yeah, that's why I'm always willing to advocate and educate others about SMA and other disabilities.
So finally, any advice for anyone who wants to go into journalism?
Sure. So it is a hard field, admittedly, and especially in this day and age. Like I mentioned, that my parents were journalists as well, and when I graduated college, it was a totally different landscape than what it was for them applying for jobs when they graduated. In the late '80s, and we're getting the first newspaper jobs and all that. But even then, I think the same principle applies. My dad always talked about, you had to get clips, which is just basically just building a portfolio. And that's really important. Is if you are studying journalism or really any kind of humanities, you're any kind of humanities major, you do have to think outside the box and really get involved beyond the classroom. Obviously, the education is important, but honestly, it really doesn't even matter if you're a journalism major or not. Most employers just want to see that you have a degree of some kind. What really matters, though, is that you have a portfolio of work to show to people. So the best advice I can give is, get involved with your student newspaper when you're in high school or college. Get involved with any freelance opportunities you can get, websites or guest blogging or anything like that. Just get your work out there, and more will come along. That's the position at BioNews didn't just fall into my lap. I had to really go out of my way to pursue it, and I made a lot of contacts when I was in college, and I gained a lot of experience by working at the Technician and doing any kind of other internship opportunity or anything like that. So just put yourself out there, make contacts. And I'll say that I know a lot of writers, not all, but a lot, tend to be pretty introverted, and networking is not their greatest strong suit, but it's one of the things you have to do when you're because even if you have 4.0 GPA and you have all these things, ultimately what matters is to get real world experience, whether that's at the student newspaper or somewhere else or in an internship. That's what'll really help you along the way. So look for those opportunities. Don't be afraid to branch out of your comfort zone and think outside the box.
Yeah, and definitely, like you said, just getting yourself out there, getting real world experience is just very important to. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
no, good.
It's not just about the grades. It's about having real life experience and being able to make contacts through that experience, whoever it is.
Absolutely. And even interviews like this, whether you're doing it for a class or any kind of other project, get in the habit of interviewing, because that becomes a really valuable skill. And I look back at some of my early articles, when I was a technician, and I cringe at them, but that's the point, is you don't have to be the best writer or the best journalist when you come in. It's all a learning process.
Right.
And I'm still learning things. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
And so just do it. Just start somewhere, and you'll get better along the way through experience. So, the technician was by far my best training I ever had. As many of the classes I loved, I think the best thing I did was getting involved in technician and doing those kind of meeting those people, getting to interview local artists and filmmakers and all that. That really prepared me for that. And it gave me I think it really formed the basis so that I could do the SMA News Today podcast and do my column and all those things.
Right. So before I leave you, anything final that you want to say?
No, just I know that when you're a humanities major, you tend to get some jokes and be like, oh, you want to be poor the rest of your life, and you still have those stigmas. But if it's something you're passionate about, do it. Hey, don't worry about the money. Don't worry about what could or couldn't happen. I'd much rather be. I'm not saying don't be irresponsible about it, and but do what you love, do what you're passionate about. Don't go to a college and major in something solely because you think that major will lead you to more money. If it doesn't bring you fulfillment, then it's not worth it. So I know it's a scary time for journalism, but there are still opportunities out there, and we need more communicators out there and people who can write and tell stories, because that's a really vital part of just the human condition. And, and it's a criminally underrated skill to have. And so don't listen to those voices that tell you, it's worthless, because it's not. And also think about, but do be pragmatic about it and think about, okay, you want to do journalism writing, think about, what specific areas you want to focus on. Do you want to do entertainment journalism or reporting or politics or whatever? Think about what kind of area you want to focus on, and, really focus on that. And then just make as many contacts as you can. But yeah, I hate to see like anyone who's scared away from pursuing writing or humanities because they don't think it's going to make them most money or whatever. If you're good at it and you're passionate about it, go for it.
Right. Definitely, yeah. All right, thank you.
Awesome. No, thanks, Kelly. Appreciate it.